Welcome to demonstration of AlignThree, a open source specification IDE. Hello, I'm Ken Pugh. This is just a brief demonstration of the IDE itself. What we'd like to show is some of the features of it. We have a demonstration project and we have a spec table within it. And that's a specification that uses tables to pass values to the unit tests. Here's our convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, and we have a table of values 32 to 0, 212 to 100, and so forth. Now, each of those columns is defined by the attributes that F is an integer and C is an integer and notes is a string. And that's shown by the attributes down here that you simply define whatever you like. Now, the entire thing with AlignThree is about tables, so of course we have editing tables using something the equivalent of a spreadsheet where you can simply go and you can add columns, insert columns, so forth and so on, and change and add additional things. Every table has that same editing capability. Now let's take a look at a domain term. Here's a domain term ID, and it's of the ID form, and that's a data type, which we describe with the data type command. And we've got to have exactly 5 letters and begin with a Q, so we're going to give some examples of valid values. Q1, 2, 3, 4 is true, and the others are false. Now we're going to use that domain term in an entity, ID value. So there's our name, it's that data type ID form, and it's going to have a value of, 0 will be the default if it's failed to be provided. So here's an example of filtering data by an ID. Given a list of numbers of that entity type ID value, we have that list of numbers, and now we have, when filtered by a ID with a value of that same ID form, then the sum is, and we give it the type integer. Now there's a lot more features here, but let me just show you the next to the process. You've created your spec table, and you'll build it. And you build the current file or the entire production or the entire project, and what will be generated? Well, let's take a look. In the spec table will be the glue and the test, and we'll also copy a copy of the spec table that those references in case you're in a separate GitHub. Let's take a look at the test. The test is creates the unit test in the language that you've decided to have for your configuration. And here's our calculation, convert F to C. You'll notice that it automatically constructs a list of objects and passes them to the glue code. For something longer, for like when we go up and we do just the filtering the data, we construct a glue code object and we pass that to the given list of numbers method when filtered by ID method and the then sum method. And so we have the glue code, which looks like this. Here's given our list of numbers. Notice that we can take that list and take them from where the attributes are strings to a a class or an object where the attributes are of the type that you have declared them to be, ID value typed. And you'll notice that each one of the given when then a glue code is constructed for it. Now, for something like calculation and everything else, we simply run through, we get the values, and we'll simply print them out. Here's your glue code ready to access your production code. The glue code is never changed by AlignThree unless the glue code method does not exist, in which case it's added. So developers call the appropriate production code from within here, and we simply run the test in the unit testing framework that is native to your language. I'll note one other thing, and that is if you want to, it will create for you templates for the entities and the data types that you have constructed in your specification. It will not reconstruct these should they already exist. So you can take these as a template for your production code. So that's a look at AlignThree, a lot more features on it. Here's our symbol table, and you can see all the scenarios and all the calculations. I will note that attributes and data types are shared among all spec table files in a project. Make sure that you have one consistent set of definitions. So, thank you very much for listening.